Good morning, everyone. I took a nap earlier, woke up, read patch notes, saw something interesting, and decided to make a video on it. So, quick things up front. Miscellaneous. Gunbreaker's Action Bloodfest has been adjusted as follows. Here's the short version of this. When you use Bloodfest, you can now overcap on charges. This is sort of like Monk with Brotherhood and Chackra. Whenever you use Bloodfest, you currently could overcap, which means if you had 1, 2, or 3 charges, you were just wasting 1, 2, or 3 charges. Well, now you aren't. For Blood Lily for White Mage, whenever you zone into an instance, you already have a Blood Lily ready to go, which means you can start an encounter with a Flatus Misery. There's a third change for Red Mage that isn't listed here, but we'll get to that in the caster section. For tanks, 2 jobs have had changes, Dark Knight and Gunbreaker. Dark Knight's is extremely minor. Living Shadow's duration on its Simulacrum, Frey, has been increased by 2 seconds. Probably just to get some of his abilities to line up better, might be a very slight damage increase, otherwise no change. Gunbreaker is actually pretty large. First of all, Bloodfest, in addition to allowing the cartridge overflow, has had its recast timer change from 2 minutes, 120 seconds, down to 1 minute, 60 seconds, so you can now use Bloodfest in each of your No Mercy windows. This also means you can now use your Lionheart combo in every burst window every 1 minute. So that could be a damage increase. But notice that your Reign of Beast combo and all of your gauge spenders and all of their follow-up abilities with continuation have had their damage decreased. Whether this turns out to be a net increase or decrease over time will probably depend on how the numbers bake out, but since you're using Bloodfest every minute, the flow of the job will be a little better, and you can use cartridges significantly more frequently. One change here to note is on Double Down, the cartridge cost has been increased from 1 to 2 back to where it used to be, but again, since you're able to use Bloodfest all the time and not worry about overcapping charges, this shouldn't be a problem. Additionally to that, Sonic Break, Gunbreaker's damage over time, used every 1 minute after No Mercy, has had its direct potency increased slightly, a little over 10% from 300 to 340, and its damage over time potency has been doubled from 60 to 120, but the duration of that dot has been reduced from 30 to 15 seconds, meaning it should be doing roughly the same damage in the dot, so just a very slight increase overall. For Melee, only 2 jobs are changed here again, Ninja and Viper. Ninja's change is just on 1 ability, Gokya Mekaku. The potency has been increased from 600 to 850, which is roughly a little over 40%. So, small change, but enjoy it. Viper's change. Overall, in a nutshell, single target damage has been increased, but overall, in a nutshell, AoE damage, specifically from your Burst combo and Uncoiled Fury, has been decreased. Notice that reduction in potency after first target being a higher number means a bigger reduction, means slightly less splash damage. So, Viper, single target damage up, AoE damage, specifically on its Burst and Uncoiled Fury, down a little bit. Regular AoE damage is unchanged. For Fizz Ranged, Bard, Machinist, and Dancer, each of them had some potency increases. They aren't huge, but they're there. For Bard, Apex Arrow Blaster, and Radion Core have had some slight potency buffs. For Machinist, basically your tool abilities, other than Bioblaster, sorry about that, Bioblaster, the single target ones, Drill, Air Anchor, Chainsaw, and Excavator, have had their potencies increased by a little over 5%. Dancer, Saber Dance, Fan Dance 4, and Last Dance have all gotten their potencies increased. Notice there are several cases here where it'll say, upon learning a trait, potency damage has been changed, but 520 to 540 is an increase, and 420 to 460 is an increase. All that means is they do their same base damage when you learn them, but when you learn the trait that increases their potency, now it increases a little more. Fizz Range has been doing a little less damage than the other sub-rules of DPS for a while. These aren't huge changes, but maybe they'll get them just a little up higher. For casters, there's only one, but it's fairly significant. So for Red Mage, look at the bottom first. Enhanced Magnification 1 and 2 have been removed. Enhanced Magnification 3 has basically just had its name changed to Enhanced Magnification. So, Embolden, increased own magic damage changed from 5 to 10%. This has kind of just been one of those weird oversights that has existed for a long time, and they just changed it to 10%. This will be a increase to Red Mage's burst damage by a little bit. Probably about 4% overall. For Magnification, so an interesting thing here, the recast time has been reduced from 120 to 110 seconds. I thought it was 110 seconds, but I guess I need to research that a little more. it now increases the ranges of your melee combo. Enchanted Riposte, Enchanted Surchoix, and Enchanted Redoublement have their range increased to 25 yards. What this means is whenever you use Manification, in line with your burst windows, your 3 melee attacks are now ranged, which means you don't have to get into melee range during every burst phase to use them. The additional effect grants 6 stacks of Manification has been changed to grants 3 stacks of Magic Swordplay. That allows you to get your free combo in, and the duration at 30 seconds. So instead of giving you Perfulgence ready after you use your complete combo, the 3 melee attacks and the 3 casts, you just get Perfulgence ready for a duration of 30 seconds. In practice, this means you have to use it slightly earlier, so it's slightly less flexible, instead of allowing you to do the full combo and then start the 30-second timer. But for people that aren't hyper-min-maxing, this shouldn't be too relevant, and overall, because this allows you some more flexibility in when you can use the melee attacks, because it gives them range, that might be useful to even people min-maxing. Vice of Thorn's potency has been increased by 50, minor change. Perfulgence can now be messed with the action change button a little bit with Manification, but that was kind of already a thing, so there you go, Red Mage changes. No other caster changes on the list today. So healer changes, I'll go over the quick stuff first and then go into the interesting stuff. So for White Mage, your glare potency is up slightly, so your direct damage from your glare spam is up. Afflatus Misery's potency has been increased to keep it damage neutral, damage increase under burst windows. For Scholar, Biolysis potency is up by slightly, 5 per tick, and Sage, again, for Creation Dosis 3, potency up by 5. So, that's the simple stuff. For White Mage, Plenary Indulgence. This is something that people have asked for a while, to give White Mage a little more usability, because it has so much less mitigation for the party than the other healers. Well, now it has a Pro Shell effect, reduced damage by 10% on Confession stacks. So whenever you use Plenary Indulgence, it also basically gives a 10% damage reduction to the party for that 10-second duration. This means White Mage now has a party mitigation button every 60 seconds, kind of like Astrologian does for Collective Unconscious. That's kind of cool, because a lot of people wanted that at the risk of homogenization, but thought, oh, well, it'll be different from Astrologians at least, because Astrologians can be channeled if they want to hold it longer, and if they want to just flash it for 5 seconds, they can do that. However, they're also changing Collective Unconscious to where the duration of the effect is increased from 5 to 10 seconds, so you don't flash it anymore. When you use it, it just gives 10 seconds, with the continuously refreshing thing just being the Wheel of Fortune effect. So a little more homogenization there, but overall this is basically just making White Mage not so far behind the other healers in mitigation anymore, kind of bringing it up to par with Astrologian. Whether that's good or bad kind of depends on your view on that topic, but it's been kind of a sore spot for White Mages for a while, since White Mage has been the only healer that's really followed the pure barrier split, and this is kind of bringing it in line with its other pure healer companion to make them on a more equal footing. Other than that, very slight damage increases for White Mage, Scholar, and Sage. Although, White Mages should add up, because that's your spam button that you use a lot. Anyway, guys, that's it for the job changes for patch 7.4. See you in the patch.